lottery.
Well, offensively last night in Cleveland, tonight facing a stiffer challenge defensively in the Miami Heat. What did you like about last night that you wanted to carry over tonight?
Yeah, well, I mean, we certainly try to learn, from recent games and carry things over. I thought, against Cleveland, we carried some things over from the Milwaukee game that we addressed in practice on Saturday. Specifically just trying to really play deeper into possessions when, the defense stops an initial attack. Against Milwaukee, we get a little hasty early in possessions against a really good defense. And there were some other ones where we were really good. But I thought last game, for 48 minutes, we did a really good job of kind of exploring possessions. And when we didn't have an initial advantage, we just kind of kept the play alive, used ball movement. We used the next action to try to get a crack. And some possessions we ended up against the clock, but on a lot of possessions we were able to find something pretty good just with our resilience throughout the possession. That's something we're going to definitely need tonight against a team like Miami.
Well, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Theo Maledon back for you. You now have a more intact bench playing roles that really from the start of the season these guys have played, and it's showing. Mark, you scored 42 off the bench last night, outscored Cleveland's reserves 42-9. You feel like your bench is a strength for you when you're intact as a roster?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we try to make sure that we're using our depth, going back to the schedule and your initial question, that's one way to manage the schedule is to play, into your bench and give those guys an opportunity. And I thought last game was a good example. We kind of started a little slow and we were a little lethargic at the beginning of the game. And then the minute we started subbing, the energy of the game went up and it became contagious. And we were able to sustain that for the rest of the time out there. So, those guys have done a great job. We have a lot of confidence in them. There's a reason that players are in the NBA and there's a reason that they're in our organization. And we want to make sure that we're exploring the roster. And the only way to do that is to give guys opportunities. And, I think we've reaped the benefits of that mentality this year because those guys have done a really, really good job.
Second night of a back-to-back for you, closing out a 5-game and 7-day stretch, as I mentioned earlier. But on the second night of back-to-backs, Al Horford is rest. That's the case again tonight. Isaiah Roby steps into the starting lineup. Bam Adebayo is a handful, Mark, in terms of the skill set and versatility he brings. How do you manage what he offers from the Miami perspective on the offensive end, not just with Roby, but with your entire team?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a really good player, really aggressive player. He's a force and requires, like anybody else, he requires a 5-man defense. And we're going to have to be really on, against him and against their whole team tonight. I mean, they do a really good job of utilizing the strengths of their players because he's obviously a force in the paint, in and around the basket. He's a really, really good passer from the elbow.